Okay, what are you saying, people? It's Miko Aodu and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, got another weekly analysis for you. On the screen other pairs we'll be analyzing today, but make sure you stay to the end of the video because we'll be recapping every single pair, what's happened this week and potentially what could be happening next week as well. So with all that said, guys, let's get straight into it. Okay, so first up we've got Euro USD. So you can see for this pair still looking very bearish on the daily chart. US dollar is still very strong and Euro USD is still dropping because of that. So you can see on the daily, very strong price action. We had a bit of a morning star there, but price, dumped to the downside again for Friday. So we've come into 1.13 and potentially could be even be seeing price drop back down to 1.12. You can see on the 4 hour there is some signs that the market is starting to slow down. So I know we are quite bearish, but you can see these quite major wicks to the downside. It is showing that price is starting to collect a lot of liquidity to the downside and starting to slow down as it's getting rejected quite heavily as well. So we could see maybe a third push or even a fourth back into 1.12. Then from there we might be seeing some upside for this pair. Again, I'm not looking for the reversal for Euro USD. Price has been very bearish for the past few weeks now, so we do need to see a retracement. Of course it doesn't have to be now, but I do expect to see a retracement for Euro USD, retrace some of this bearish that bearish move that we've seen over the past few days. So I do expect to see the market probably drop a little bit further, come and test 1.12. And then from here, if we do see price action start to shift to bullish and we start to see some wicks forming to the downside and maybe a possible higher low, then we can look for buys and take this higher to the upside. So I'll be looking for buys around here, but again, price action does need to meet up with my buys, because if not, price could go a lot further, potentially even 1.11 down there if the momentum does keep up. So we'll be looking for buys at around the 1.12. We're starting to see some signs that the market is failing to push lower, but we might see price come down a little bit lower, and then as soon as we start to see that bullish shift in the market, we can take some buys to the upside and probably will be targeting this recent swing high up there for next week. So again, this is probably a bit more of an aggressive move. The sells are probably better, short-term intraday, but looking for the bigger swing, I think the buys will be looking better soon. So looking for buys from around 1.12 and take it back to the upside. Okay, so next up we got USD JPY. So for this pair, not too much happened this week really. We did see a big push to the upside, however it was kind of cancelled out the next day. Price came straight back down. So overall we haven't actually done too much for USD JPY. Kind of started the week around here and finished it at the same place. So you can see that represented quite well on the weekly time frame. Big wick to the upside, price came straight back down, probably taken out a lot of people again with stops above those highs on the previous weeks. So it could just be a liquidity grab getting ready for a move to the downside. We all know that from a weekly point of view, we're still holding 114, really nice psychological level, and we also are still holding this level of resistance here in the market. As you can see with all those wicks, we're still holding that area as well, so we could still see that move to the downside that I've been expecting for some time now. So coming into next week, if we can keep up this price action, I do think we can see a nice move to the downside. Still expecting that 112 area to come and get retested. We were close, however we pull back up, but I think we can still see that move next week. So we'll be looking for shorts for USD/JPY as long as we can stay below kind of this lower high that's just formed last week. As long as we can stay below that, we'll be looking for shorts. So looking for two possible entries, either a pullback into this area and then we can sell off, and then we can target some of these areas. It doesn't have to be 112 all the way down there, or waiting for a break of this support, price to come back and retest it as resistance, and then we'll be looking to sell it off to the downside there for USD/JPY. So do have a bearish bias. I do understand that if we do break above this area, we most likely will probably push back into 115, maybe even higher, see some new highs, because again this is a very bullish market. But with price action like that, is looking, well, not looking bearish, but looks like potentially it could be getting ready to turn bearish. So primarily looking for shorts this week for USD and like I said, if you can push back into that lower high around 114.360, we'll be looking for sales from there, or if we get the break and retest of this level, we'll be looking for sales at 113.750. Again, targets will be at this prior low 112.750, but the real target is 112 all the way down there. But yeah, looking for shorts this week for USD, either a retest of that area or break and retest, and looking for a push all the way down to 112. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to USD CAD. So USD CAD still looking bullish this week. Coming into the week, was looking for some continuation to the downside for USD CAD. We were testing 1.26 and was looking for some continuation, which we did see. However, again, was short-lived. We were looking for a push back into this resistance, which never got retested. We were close, but not close enough. Didn't test that area, and from there we did find some strength to the upside, giving us some higher highs towards the end of the week. So USD CAD still looking bullish. Again, US dollar, you can see by the DXY, the US dollar is still very, very bullish. So it will be quite hard to see USD CAD really start to make a big move to the downside, obviously, unless the DXY decides it wants to fall. But yeah, USD CAD still looking strong, and it looks like we might be breaking above this area here, which was support there, will be acting as resistance, but just closed above there on Friday. So if we can start to hold that as support, I do think we can see some nice continuation, and we do have a nice target here. You can see last time we held this as support, we saw a really nice move back up to 1.27560 area. So if we can hold this as support again, there will be a good chance that the market would just fill that range, use that US dollar strength that we're seeing in the DXY, and see a push into those highs there. But we do need to stay above that. If not, we might be seeing some retracement, maybe back down into this area of support, which did hold earlier in the week, as you can see there. So just looking to play the range to the upside or downside, just depends what USD CAD wants to do coming into the week. So like I said, looking for buys from here around the 1.26 area, which price just respected there on Friday with that big push to the upside. So looking for a retest of 1.26, and then we'll push it up into 1.27500. If not, we break below, we'll look for the retest, use 1.26 for our entries as well, see if you can put some wicks into that area, stops just above, and we'll be looking for a push back down into that support around the 1.25 area, 1.25070. So that's the plan for USD CAD. See how we react with this level. So far we're bullish, so far we're above the level, so expecting a retest, another higher low, and look for the continuations. If not, we just break underneath, we'll look for the retest and sells back down to 1.25.
Sorry to interrupt the video, guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you find it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video.
Okay, so next up we've got Euro Pound. So Euro Pound this week, big move to the downside. As you can see, pretty much as we opened, the market did fall to the downside, and we were looking for sells for Euro Pound. I did highlight this key area here. I said if we can come back to retest that, which we didn't quite, we can be looking for our sells, and we would have our targets at this low here, and then overall at these lows here as well. That one I did not expect price to hit this week, but you can see we absolutely melted to the downside. So we're looking bearish here for Euro Pound. Again, I still do have long-term targets to the downside for Euro Pound, back down to these lows here on the left around the 0.83 area. So I think we're going to go and hit that very soon. So overall, still looking for sales for Euro Pound, and still expecting that kind of choppy downtrend to continue. So I did highlight this area here on my stream last week, so if we come back and retest that, we could be seeing some nice sell opportunities. We did fall to the downside, but we're still looking for that push into that weekly area around 0.83 down over here. So still looking for those sells, and either we come back to retest that. If that does happen, can be looking for sells again to the downside. This was our prior low here, this was a false break, so looking for a retest of that for the sells to the downside, or we just push the downside with that momentum and we look to retest the prior low. So just a push, a pull back onto the prior low, and then we can sell to the downside as well. But either way, not really interested in the buys. Momentum's to the downside in pretty much all time frames, and we still do have that weekly support which we're expecting price to go and hit. So you can look for your sells and break and retest of that low around 0.83800, Or if we do decide to pull back up again and retest that level, we'll be looking for sells again at this same level, which is around 0.84 200, and then say targets as the previous entry all the way down at 0.83. so only looking for sales next week. Just depends if we push through the low, retest it, we can look for entries there, or if we pull back, form a double top at that level, we can look for sales as well, and both trades will be aiming for 0.83. Okay, so up next we've got AUD USD. So for this pair, overall looking very bearish. Last week I was expecting to see some upside if the market can hold this area of support. You can see here held the range, was looking to see if we hold that support because we closed above. However, we came straight back below, and I did say if we break through, we'll probably end up coming down to these areas here, and that's what I'm still expecting price to come into. So looking for sales primarily next week for AU. We are coming back into a strong support, so I'm interested to see what happens at this level. You can see strong support there, price testing into that area, put some wicks into that area, and we see some big moves from that. So we can use that level to kind of base our trades off and base our bias. If you can break below this, we'll be looking at sells into this support on the left, and then that low down there, that wick down there at 0.7189. I do think if we can break through this, we'll probably come back down to those lows. So AU primarily looking for shorts, but we do need to get below this level here, and simply we can look for the retest, break and retest. If not, we might actually see a bit of a pullback to the upside from this area. In that case, we can actually look for some probably short-term / medium-term buy opportunities. So again, just base your decision what price action does here. Are we putting wicks into this area? Does it look like price is getting ready to reverse, or are we just storming through? If we are, we'll wait for the break and retest of 0.72 240, stop loss above, we'll wait for entry signal, and then we can aim for those levels there. First target 0.71700, and then 0.71 100 down there. If not, and we hold it as support, simply we'll be looking for those buys. Again, do make sure you keep an eye on the DXY to see if that one's not looking so strong anymore, to add some confidence, and then we can look for some buys. I'll probably say we can probably see a push into this high up here, but do make sure you probably take profit at this level here, because that could still send price down against you. So looking at buys if we can hold the level, and looking at sells if we break through, but simply basing our trading decisions from that level of 0.72 200 for next week. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to NZD CAD. So NZD CAD still kind of stuck in this range. Again, I did say to you guys, just wait for the breakout of the range and we can trade in that direction. We had the highs over here as our target if it breaks to the upside, and we had the lows down here if it does break to the downside as our target. However, we did break to the downside this week. However, as you can see, it did turn out to be false. We closed straight back above that area, and looking a little bit bullish, but overall we're just trapped in that range and we still are moving sideways, and we've been doing that for a number of days. So there's kind of two ways to play this this pair, this sort of market. You can either look to play within the range here. The range is about 100 pips from the support to resistance, so it is worthwhile if you are looking to trade that. Look to see if the market can hold that as support, trade it to the upside, see if you can hold that as resistance, look to trade it to the downside, and just play that range. Or you could wait for the breakouts, which is what I'll be waiting for, so you can catch the actual trend of the move and start to see if you can push into these levels up there, or maybe even past them if the market really starts to trend after this breakout. So looking for the retest of this level there to the highs, and the retest of this level here to the lows. Again, around 0.86200 and 0.9200 we can say is the target. So if you drop to the 4H time frame, you can see price has been holding that support quite some time, a couple of false breakouts now, but if we do go and break through this, we see a nice daily close underneath again, and we see a nice retest. Can look for those selling opportunities. Again, you don't have to look for the sells all the way down there if you don't want to. Again, that might take a whole week for that to happen, but there's some targets here to the left, that prior high there, the lows here, the lows there could be also nice targets, but overall I do see price coming to those lows, and if not, we decide to break to the upside, we'll look for the break and retest of this high here around 0.89100. You can see we've been putting wicks to the upside, false break, see if we can break, retest, and we'll be looking for buys back up into 0.9200. So waiting for the breakout, waiting for the daily close above or below the retest, and we can look to take this market either to the upside or to the downside. Obviously we don't know yet, but that's what I'll be looking next week for NZD CAD. Okay, so up next we've got pound NZD. So pound NZD, as you can see, quite a nice move to the upside this week. Again, wasn't expecting that, was expecting price just to continue bearish and roll over. At the time we were holding that trend line, they're expecting price to roll over. However, NZD's been quite weak, pound's been quite strong. Obviously the momentum has shifted there and price is looking fairly bullish here, but pound NZD overall still very much in a bearish trend. So I'm expecting this just to be a pullback and price to eventually, come back and make some new lows. So we're looking at this area here, price support here on the daily chart, which was our prior low, which normally when we do break the low, we do expect to see the market come back and retest. However, this time we didn't quite retest that level, so maybe that's where pound NZD is headed to, and then from there we can be looking for some shorts to take this pair down. So overall, still kind of looking bullish here. Price looks like it's forming a higher low here with all those wicks, especially with that momentum we're seeing. So you could be looking at maybe short-term buys if you want to. I'm really going to be looking for the sells up in this level to take it back down. Around what is that 1.93500. So that's what I'll be looking for my selling opportunities, again targeting these prior lows here. Probably wouldn't target all the way down there. It might take a few weeks to do that, depending how this pullback does play out, or potentially could be a reversal, we don't know. But I can see a really nice high probability chance. If we come here, react with that level, show that we're failing to break through, we can aim for these higher lows here, potentially even that higher low down there as well, depending how aggressive or what type of risk reward you are looking for. But either which one, as long as we can hold on to that level, sales will be looking good and we can take this to the downside. So just to recap, looking for sales from around 1.93500, targeting 1.91500, and if you can break through that, we'll look at the second low there at 1.89600 there for next week. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to CAD JPY. So CAD JPY, as you can still see, we're moving to the downside, which was expected. Price has broken out of this range here. A few days ago now, I'm just looking for the retest of that and the continuation. So as you can see, that's what we got this week. We saw a nice pullback and we saw the continuation. I did say 90 will be our next target, and we just about hit 90 before the week ended. So really nice trade there for CAD JPY to the downside, and now we're still expecting more downside. I still think we can go and retrace more of this. You can look at the other JPY pairs, and a few of them already retraced pretty much all of that bullish momentum that we saw a few weeks ago. All the JPY pairs were looking very bullish, just flying to the upside, and some of them, especially Euro JPYs, pretty much retraced all that bearish leg. And I still think CAD JPY will start to see some of that bearish momentum start to build up again and kind of retrace some of that bullish momentum we saw not too long ago. So I'm looking at overall push back down to 88,500 down here. But I'm not too sure if we'll do that in this week. So just going to take it step by step, playing the structure. You can see clear lower highs and lower lows. We've broken through the support now. Let's see if we can hold this as resistance. So far we've seen one wick into that area, nice rejection. So coming onto Monday, Tuesday, see if we can really hold this as resistance, and we'll be looking for sales overall targets at 88,700. So looking for sells here, 9400, see if we can hold that resistance. Again, wait for confirmation, wait for price to start throwing wicks to the upside, rejection there, momentum shift, you can drop the lower time frames as well, and then we can look for a push into 88,700. But overall, this pair is very, very much bearish. No real need to be looking for buys here, even intraday. Just looking for sells, keep this bearish trend going, and I can see a push into 88,700 for next week. Okay, so next up we've got pound USD. So pound USD, we're still seeing some retracement this week. I did say price does hold this as resistance. We're looking for a drop into 1.33, but if it does hold it as support, we're looking for a push into 1.36. So I still stand by that. coming into this week, still looking for a push into 1.36 or 1.33. So far, pound USD has been a little bit choppy in price action. You can see that better if we drop down to the 4H. You can see price has been holding this as resistance, then support, pushed up, came back down, still struggling to break through that area. So overall, pound, it has been quite choppy, but this price action here is very, very corrective, and this is very, very impulsive. So this could easily be the pullback of that impulse, and we see the continuation back down to 1.33. So we'll be looking for price to get back below that daily prior low, retest that, throw some wicks to the upside, and we could be seeing that continuation into 1.33 for next week, and we'll be looking for those sells. If not, and we keep up holding this as support, which we've been doing pretty much the whole of the week, we'll be looking for buys on this and looking for a push to the upside. But of course, US dollar has been quite strong, so we do need to see a shift in that market as well to help correlate on the reasons why we can take that long. Because if the US dollar is still very, very strong, the likelihood is we will see that selling opportunity. So it is important to see what price action does coming into Monday. See what we can do at Asian session, London session, see if we can put some wicks to the downside there. Then we can looking for some buys. If not, and we just see that momentum from Friday just continue, we'll look for the retest here as resistance and just play that momentum down into 1.33 for next week. Okay, so now let's take a look at pound CAD. So pound CAD, a bit of a push to the upside this week. We were looking for price to roll over and just continue that momentum price was doing. However, you can see we did see a big push to the upside. Pound was very, very strong. Pretty much check every pound pair, they've all seen some upside, apart from euro pound, which obviously has seen some downside. But pound CAD, still very much a bearish market despite this bullish momentum. We are coming back into the previous swing high, so I want to see what price can do here. If it does start to hold this, which so far we're obviously seeing signs of this bullish momentum running out of energy here. So if we can show a bit more rejection there, we'll be looking for sells. I do think we can come back down to lows, or at least some of these areas here on the 4H which have not been retested when we did break through. So you can see there we're lacking momentum, but we'll probably see another push to the upside because of these long wicks to the downside there. We'll probably see another push in, so we'll look to see if we can hold this area as resistance, and if we do, we'll be looking for sells to the downside. You can see last time here we kept rejection from this area, so if we can do that again, that will be great, and we'll be looking for sells from this area as well, understanding that the higher time frames momentum is still overall bearish, and we can be seeing a push to the downside to these lows. So that's what we're looking for pound CAD, just another swing to the downside, a retest of that, and then push to the lows. Again, like I said, you don't have to target all the way down at these lows if you don't want to. Again, that's more of a swing opportunity, but there's still area here. We broke through this, never came back for the retest. Very, very likely to see price push into this area, so you can look to target that area. But if you want to hold for a swing, there's also a good probability we'll see that move into those lows at 1.7290, but you can also look to target 1.69, also a really nice psychological level as well. So looking for sells at 1.70400 for next week, and see if you can get a push back down into those daily lows. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to pound JPY. So pound JPY, we did see some upside this week, which we were looking for. Price was coming into this area here of resistance, now turned support, and we're looking for a push to the upside for price to have some retracement after that big bearish drop we saw not too long ago. We did see that move, and we did see a test of that area. Didn't quite make it into our second area of target up there at 156. Price rejected that and fell to the downside. So we are still looking bearish. You can still see the lower lows and lower highs. Big drop to the downside. This looks to be potentially a lower high. I'm expecting price to break through this low and create a lower low, maybe at the next psychological level at 151. So I can see a push into 151. I think price will break through 152, so looking for sells for next week. We do have this support and resistance here, so really nice resistance there for those wicks, support there as well. See if we can hold that as resistance again, and this will be a nice area to look to sell from, and we can target 151 all the way down there. If not, we break through, we'll be looking for sells again at this resistance, and same outcome, looking for sells to the downside. So it just depends which area the market holds as resistance, but looking to continue the JPY strength really. and looking to see if pound JPY can give us another swing to the downside back down to 151. So looking at sells here at 153,600 on a nice retest of that level, or if you do break to the upside, looking for a double top at this area here, support, resistance at 154,600. So just depends which outcome does happen, but again, not really interested in the buys for pound. Looking at the sells for this pair and a push down to 151 for next week. Okay, so next up we've got gold. So gold, not too much this week. Price was moving sideways, but towards the end we did see quite a nice downside move, as you can see there in the 4H. Again, we've been bearish in gold since we've been holding this key level of support. Like I said, this week we probably will see a move to the downside, which, you know, Thursday, Friday we kind of did see, but I'm still expecting that momentum to continue, because I'm expecting a retest of this support here. So a really nice resistance will now be turned support. Then from here, I'm expecting price to continue to the upside back to 1900, but I'm not too sure price will do that within 1 week. So we'll be targeting this level here for next week, and then probably the week after there, or we could do that in 1 week. You know, never say never in the markets. But looking for a swing to the upside now for gold. Looking for a retest of 1832, that area there, kind of this resistance here taken across. We'll be looking for entries around there, see if we can put some nice wicks to the downside, stops below, and looking for push into 1869 for next week. So looking for buys for gold. We've really seen that selling opportunity. Hopefully that momentum will carry us to the lows, and then maybe midway through the week we can look for some buys and take this higher. So looking for buys for gold for next week from 1832 back up to 1869. Okay, so last but not least, we've got Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, bit of a move to the downside this week. Was looking for Bitcoin to hold this support here and see some upside. However, you can see price has broken through that area. Slight reaction, but it did not hold. Price actually broke through this level as well. Very, very key level of support there, around the 60,600 mark. You can see real strong support. Price was throwing wicks into this level many times before we did see that big push all the way up to 69k. So we're going to see now if it does hold it as resistance or not. If it does hold as resistance, we will be looking for sells for Bitcoin to take it to the downside. If not, and we pop back above, we'll wait for the retest, throw some wicks to the downside like it did over there, and then, you know, looking for buys back to highs. What happened there? Sorry about that. Looking for buys back to highs at 59k all the way up there. So just depends how price reacts with that level. Holds as resistance, put some wicks to the upside. We'll be looking for sells, and the target would be this area here, that major resistance, which actually gave us some retracement. Looking to come down and retest it as support around the 53k mark. So drop to the 4H time frame. Again, you can use the 4H to judge this level if it's holding as resistance or not. You can see price was holding it as resistance there, support. So if we do hold that as resistance, we'll be looking for sells, and like I said, targets at 53k. If not, and we break above and hold as support, then we're just looking to keep this bullish market going and see a push back to highs, and maybe we might hit 70k as well. But looking for a push to the upside back to 69k if we can get above. If not, we'll look for a push back down to 53k for next week for Bitcoin.
Okay guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed that and found that useful. Like always guys, agree, disagree with my analysis, drop a comment down below. Have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll get back to you in the comments as well. If you did enjoy it, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and also hit the bell so you don't miss out any uploads in the future. But thanks guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.